thank you very much for taking the time to be here. I'd like to start with just a brief introduction. Carl, Rosander, you just told me you haven't slept for 3 years because you started a defense company. Kudos for that. I hope you get some sleep soon. You are from Sweden and CEO of Nordic Defence. You're working with a drone interception. Henriette Thyssen, you are CEO of Therma, the largest Danish weapons manufacturer. You haven't been at the company that long, but Therma is a big player, comparatively speaking, in this sphere. And Dan Hermansen, you are from your own company, My Defence, also relatively new, not that big. And you are also active in a network of small and medium-sized Danish defense companies. So we want to talk a bit about what kind of warfare there is in our times, and how the defense industry can react to all of that. One thing about being relatively small compared to the large conglomerates, I think, is of course a European thing to ask: Are we large enough, and what kind of challenges does it give in research and development, for example, Carl, when you compare yourself with much larger players?
It's generally with startups. Startups are moving faster.
Yeah.
Highly innovative, new technologies. So within defense tech, we are really important nowadays. Very important.
So speed can be your...
Speed is crucial, and that's why it is startups, because we move faster. Speed.
Right. And Dan, how do you see this environment in Europe of relatively small defense companies? What do you think Europe or nation states can do to better support these new startups?
Well, I think if I look back to when we started in 2013, so that's already 12 years ago, it looked completely different. We were one of the only few companies in the defense business in Denmark, and there wasn't much to look for of innovation or funding or anything like that. I think it has improved a lot, and what has really improved is the on the one hand side, the demand. It has been accepted to talk about defense. Yeah. I think now you say producers of weapons. I think that's a wrong perception. Because in most cases it has nothing to do with weapons. It has something to do with technology for protecting. We save lives, and that's our purpose. So that's really what we have been building our products for. That's for saving lives and for freedom freedom and democracy.
Sure. Well, I'm all with you there. At work, I refer to the defense industry as the freedom industry. So it's hardly needed. But then, Henriette, your company is larger. You're doing larger projects. What do you see as the most underappreciated threat for the European rearmament challenge?
So first, a comment on the size. So you are right, we are around 2,000 people, but I still think the path to success is still a bit similar in the sense that since we are smaller companies in Europe, I do think it gives us an opportunity to be more agile and maneuver quicker. So even if I'm sure we are all aspiring to become larger, I think to keep hold of that is extremely important. I don't think it's a path to success to just be a mini-me of some of the very big primes. So I think there is something unique to the agility, and we are having, particularly in the Scandinavian companies, that bodes well for the R&D and the development. In terms of underappreciated threat, I would say what we have come to face is very much these hybrid threats. That is not only whether you are in a little bit similar to the weapon and defense or you are at war, but there are hybrid threats all the time. And as societies, our ability to respond to that timely enough and with enough seriousness in terms of being alert and having a preventive measure, I think is really important and something we need to get at now, such that it doesn't build further.
Okay, well, that's a large topic.
Yeah.
We'll stay, I think, here in the next 15 minutes on very the hardware part of this defense that is also needed. Now, your company is also working on the F-35 project, and so you may know something more about the American defense industry as well. The real giants in defense I was looking at top 10 list. We have one European there, but they're American and Chinese. What should Europe do to get as large players, do you think? What does it take?
So as you started out with, Pierre, I've been 9 months in the job, so I don't consider myself an expert on the Danish or American defense industry. But I do think there's clearly something in terms of the scalability and the positioning many of the big primes are having. I think that being said, as I said before, I think it's important that we find our own way of getting there. And my sense is, even if the sense is also that some of the very big American primes, we can learn a lot from them, but I also think they are looking increasingly on how to have a faster pathway for their innovation and development.
Yeah, all right. Yes. Can go both ways. Carl, you weren't born into defense. You're a tech entrepreneur. You've been that for most of your career. Why did you go into this at all?
You've been 9 months on the job. I've been a defense tech entrepreneur now for 11 months.
Yeah,
I've been an entrepreneur in tech for 28 years. So it's what I learned through those 28 years is that you have to execute. Execution is the most important now. And I came into this when actually the war in Ukraine broke fully out. It was a shock to me. So I felt that I had to do something. And we were collecting drones and sent to Ukraine on a couple of private other entrepreneurs. And then this little idea that came to Nordic Defence, and a new way to control something in the air. I got the paper presentations, and look, I must do this. So I started to fundraise friends and family. And in the third meeting I had, it was not meant that I should be the entrepreneur or the CEO. That's when I decided. It felt like I've been learning at that time, 27 years, to do this project. This is the most important I've done, and so fun to learn a new thing, and so important.
It is really important. So all three of you, in different ways, work with air defense. So let's look a little bit about what we've learned from the war in Ukraine. Dan, maybe you can start by telling us what you have in your pocket.
So in my one pocket, I have my phone, and
Yes.
in the other pocket, I have what is called our Wingman, and the Wingman is our first product, and really what we started the company on. That is the personal protection against drones. We started with IEDs, so roadside bombs, and pretty soon we figured out that the modern IED is not dug down into the dirt, but actually flying and then dropping grenades on top of people instead. So we developed the Wingman and a number of other products, but the Wingman we have deployed now more than 2,000 Wingman in Ukraine, and have been used to saving lives, and that's really keeping us up. And right now we have established ourselves in Ukraine as well, with an office to support and go further with both R&D and production in Ukraine as well. And I think this is one of the things that we need to do, just as you say, execute, make a plan and then actually execute it. And then I think learning from We had the discussion before about the US. What can we learn from US? And I think the environment on the defense industry side in the US is far more advanced than it is in Europe. 30 years ago, they were demanded to consolidate and make the big companies that we see today with Boeing and Lockheed. And then there's a large willingness to invest in innovation from the government side, from the military side, and also invest into testing and evaluation, and finally also procurement. And that's really what we need in Europe at the moment, because everybody is, well, on the one hand side, running around knowing what not to do, and the other hand is, I mean, politically saying that now we all agree we need to spend much more, and we can see in the coming years we'll spend much more. But it's not only the companies that need to act, but also, I mean, the procurement agencies, and make large agreements so you can do innovation. Yeah. Technology is about innovation.
Carl, you want?
We need to build and create the inexpensive, scalable systems to meet the drone threats. Yeah. It's what's the cost of a Patriot missile? What's the cost of a missile comparing to a cheap drone? So we need to level up or level down.
So there's some of that leveling up. Henriette, it's also largely a question of how to address this asymmetry that we now have. A very cheap drone can destroy a very expensive battleship. Do you think there are some technology, some solutions that can redress somehow this new asymmetry? How do we get around that?
I think we have all, now I'm speaking on your behalf, I think we have all been surprised about the execution pace in Ukraine, and also the innovation that you are seeing in coming up with new things, coming up with the counter response to that. So I think it will evolve a lot. The fact that you have to think a lot more about the supply chain and how you have the cost of production within a reasonable level, but also that you can source components that can be used to different things. So you're not in these traditional old supply chains where everything requires exact components that you cannot source freely. So I think we will see a completely a different map of how defense looks and how it can be done. And I would also say for every now we have Ukrainian participants here, in the sense that it is very different to be in a meeting when people are facing these type of threats on a daily basis than in a normal corporate structure. So in that sense, the passion I feel here is also the passion I can see with my colleagues, that people really want to make a difference and defend societies we're in.
Yeah. One question here from the audience, and please send in some more if you feel like it. Is the European mindset, our mentality, is it disruptive enough to compete with innovators in the US and China? Carl, maybe you have...
EU is slow on decisions, and bureaucracies take a long time. I see that where I come from in Sweden. I've seen the last 3 months, things are really speeding up. From the procurement agency, things happening faster, on a faster pace. I believe in a strong Europe. It's where democracies come from, you know. So we have to speed up, and also the bureaucracy has to speed up. We talk a lot. It's a lot of talk about how we should do it, but there is not that much action. Do you agree?
But I was also thinking about that. I mean, now we are 3 years into a large European war, and we are still at a point where it's clear that Europe cannot by itself supply all that Ukraine needs. So how do you guys explain that? Why didn't we really get a Zeitenwende back in 22? When the larger war started out? Yes.
Yeah, I think we see it. We saw it at that time. We still see it now. I mean, we see some things coming with clearly articulated goals. which is really what we need the European Union, also Europe in general, to speak up and say, okay, what is it that we want? We want to be more independent. Right now we are buying 80% outside Europe of all the equipment. We are now hearing goals about 50% within the coming years that we need to buy. I mean, that is an incredible increase in the market for European countries, for European companies. At the same time, we go from, I don't know, below 2% to maybe 4 or 5% in GDP over time. So suddenly we have a market that's 5 times bigger. And those are the clearly articulated goals that we need, because everybody needs to listen into them, both the financial institutions, the industry, and also the procurement agencies, because they need to adhere to those rules.
And we need more entrepreneurs doing this now when it's allowed to work with defense tech.
Yeah. But that will come as soon as there's a clearly articulated market goal. Then all the entrepreneurs will come, and the investments too.
Then warfare is becoming really, really technological now. We've talked a bit about the drones. How close do you think we are to a kind of warfare where it's more and more automated, more and more AI-driven, basically robots doing the warfare? Is this what we should prepare for now for the next wars?
It's already there.
We're there. Autonomous drones is above Sweden, probably about Denmark too.
Yeah. And are we ready for that in Europe? If that's something we have to face, not just in Ukraine?
We're not.
No.
How can you be ready without testing it?
No.
Yeah. So more contracts, more testing is needed.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. There are some questions here about what about the supply there is to and from Israel of ammunitions. Do you think we should? Some people think we should actually import more weapon system from Israel. Other people are saying actually the opposite. We should not provide them with anything because we need it all here. Do you guys have an opinion on that?
I think first of all we should concentrate on Europe, because we have a huge demand in Europe, and all the discussions today have been about that we cannot supply enough. So that should be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and get production up.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.